Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala khatamil anbiya wal mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsan wa da'a bi da'watihim wa sanna bi sunnatihim wa iqtada bi hadihim ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, our maker, He, in the Quran al-Kareem, has guided us towards everything that is right and beneficial, and at the same time has warned us from all that is harmful. And one of the warnings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He repeats throughout the Quran is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us about our enemy, our open enemy. Inna shaytana lakum aduwan. Verily shaitan is your enemy. Fattakhiduhu aduwa. So regard him as your enemy. Aduwwun mubin. He is your open enemy. Not only is he your enemy, but he is the enemy of your father and grandfather and forefathers and the father of all of humanity, Adam alayhi salam. He is his sworn eternal enemy. And this is the enemy that his enmity has lasted generation upon generation, and he has declared he will continue in his enmity till the day of judgment. And when he was expelled from Jannah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ukhruj minha فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ," you are expelled, get out of here, you are cursed, eternally cursed. He had taken that pledge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. I will misguide all of these children of Adam. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Except for some of your beloved servants, they may escape my grasp, but I will definitely make this the mission of my life and the life of all of my dhurriya, my progeny, that we will be misguiding them. If we are going to burn in hell, we will not burn alone, we will take the entire humanity with us. ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُم مِّن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. I will misguide them from in front and behind. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. From their right and their left. وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You will not find many of them grateful to you, O Allah. This is what Iblis told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he asked Allah ta'ala a life for it, and a long life. أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ رَبِّي أَنظِرْنِي. Oh my Lord, grant me a respite and an opportunity till the day of resurrection. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. Allah ta'ala said, okay, I give you that chance. And this is what He wants to do with it. It's His stated mission and goal. And that is why the mashayikh, they have given us so many different ways for us to protect ourselves from shaitan and his wasawis and his attacks and his deceptions. Many books have been written on this topic. The most famous of Talbis Iblis, Allama Jawzi rahmatullah alayhi, he talks about the different deceptions of the devil and how he deceives different categories of people. What are the tests and the deceptions from shaitan when it comes to ulama, when it comes to awam, when it comes to scholars, when it comes to laymen, when it comes to kings and rulers, governors and those that are governed, the rich and the poor, the men and the women, the young and the old, the educated, the uneducated, the one who lives in the city, the one who lives in the desert. All the different groups and demographics of society, there are different deceptions of shaitan who is out there to misguide us. But how do we protect ourselves? There's one common denominator, and then there's further tafasil and further details for each group. The common denominator is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran. And that is that we need to at all times seek the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan. That is the only place that we can get protection. And Allah ta'ala mentioned this in so many different ways, so many different ayat. قُل, say, رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينَ. Oh my Lord, I seek your protection from the whisperings of the shaitan. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّ أَنْ يَحْضُرُونَ. And I seek your protection that the shayateen, they come upon me. This is an ayah in the Quran. This is not just a dua Allah mentioned, which by itself would be an evidence for us to recite it and for us to invoke Allah. It's not something just to be read or recited, but rather to supplicate Allah with that dua. But beyond that, it's a command, it's a verb, imperative verb, fi'l amr. Allah Ta'ala says, قُل, say, رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينَ. Oh my Lord, I seek your protection from the attacks of shaitan. Even this Quran al-Kareem that we recite is a source of mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a source of guidance for us. One of the instructions is that وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنِ, when the time comes for you to recite the Quran, and when you begin the ritual recitation of the Quran, the tilawah of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Then seek the protection of Allah from shaitan the accursed. And that is why before we begin tilawah, we always say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And this is a practice that we have, but we need to be focusing on it. This act of seeking the protection of Allah from shaitan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the only source of protection from shayateen and from their wasawis and their makai and their planning and plotting, Imam Fakhruddin Razi rahmatullah alayhi, he approaches it in such a beautiful, logical, philosophical manner in his Tafsir al-Kabir, as he was someone who was very rational and he approached things in a very rational manner that is very appealing to us in this day and age when everyone is trying to understand things and question things and be skeptical. This is part of our environment that we are living in. He says that, subhanAllah, taking the concept from him but putting it in a modern context, not necessarily he was using these words that I will be using, but when you have an enemy and you need to protect yourself from your enemy, one of the most important divisions in any military is the military intelligence unit, the espionage. So, in the purpose of that is, how do you defend yourself from your enemy? You have to have knowledge of the strength of your enemy and where he would potentially attack you from, where are the surface-to-air missiles, where are the air defenses, where are the radars located. So you need to avoid it with your Air Force if you want to invade their territory, or you have to take out some targets. You have to be aware of the military strength of your enemy. Then you can plan your military campaign accordingly. For this, there's espionage. For this, there's military intelligence. The entire all the world of spying is all part of this. This is something which is not something new, but was there from the era in the past, all the way in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's so many fascinating examples of this in Sir and in books of Sirah and the books of the Maghazi. We see how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was planning when he was going to Badr, for example. Ended up being the Battle of Badr. He wasn't going towards Badr. وَتَوَدُّونَ أَنَّ غَيْرَ ذَاتِ الشَّوْكَةِ تَكُونُ لَكُمْ وَيُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَنْ يُحِقَّ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ Right? Allah Ta'ala says, you wanted to just go get your caravan of your stolen items that Abu Sufyan, later to become radiallahu anhu, he had gone to Syria to go and get. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed that caravan to escape, and Allah Ta'ala brought the army of the Quraysh, and you faced them in the plains of Badr. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would be spying, and would be sending out spies to figure out what's going on. And subhanAllah, he sent some Sahaba, and they captured two khuddam, slaves for the army of the mushrikun by the wells of Badr. They had gone there to get some water for the troops and for their animals. When they captured them and brought them, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was interrogating. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually was performing salah, and some of the Sahaba who were interrogating them, they said, who are you working for? They said, we are working for the army of Abu Jahl. And there's an army, it's behind this, the mountain of Badr on the other side. They said, no, you're lying. They didn't want to believe it. There are 5 stages. The first stage is denial. Then it reaches acceptance. So they were in denial. They were like, no, you are from the caravan of Abu Sufyan. They said, no, we are from the army of Abu Jahl, and there's 1,000 soldiers. And no, they didn't come to the number, it's coming later. But they said that there's a whole army. And then they actually, astaghfirullah, they beat him. And then he said, okay. Yeah, we're from the caravan of Abu Sufyan. That's why the testimony under any type of torture is unacceptable. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam finished his salah and told them, what are you doing? When he was speaking the truth, you denied him. And then when he said a lie, then you believed him. He is from the army. You don't want to see the army tomorrow, but there is an army here. He is speaking the truth. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, okay, let me talk to them. And he said, how many soldiers are in your army? So he said, I don't know, a lot. Like, what is a lot? There's a lot of them. Okay, how about, let me ask you another question. How many camels are you sacrificing? And then not a matter of sacrifice, but killing every day for food. So they said 9 or 10. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said between 900 to 1,000. 100 people typically eat 1 camel. So he knew the figures. This is how he determined. So this is spying from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's side. Spying from Abu Sufyan's side is also there, radiallahu anhu, that he was trying to figure out what's happening. Where are the different groups from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam out in the desert, because he was afraid. And he had all the stolen property of the Muhajirun with him. And he had gone to Sham, and he had come back with a lot of profit. And he knew that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would potentially send out a Sariya or even a Ghazwa himself to go and capture it. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had sent out spies as well. Back a few days earlier than this is this incident. And they were passing by, they were asking about the caravans, what's going on. And they passed by one oasis. So the oasis and these Bir Roha and all these wells that are in the desert were like rest areas. So that's where you would get a lot of information. Because source of water is the source of life. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. From water we have made everything alive. Every living organism needs water. That's why when the our space explorers, they go to different planets and different galaxies, they're looking for water in any form, gas form, frozen form, ice or liquid form, H2O, source of life. If you see water, oh, there may be some extraterrestrial life. So anyway, so by the water, they were there investigating, and then they had moved on. Then Abu Sufyan comes with his caravan to take water. He said, did you see any spies from Yathrib, from Medina? They said, no, we don't know any spies. Anybody asking about a caravan? He said, there were two people. They were passing by, they asked about the caravan. He said, where are they? Let me go. Where was their camp? He said, their camp was, they had over there. They were in that location. So then he went to go do a study. Then he said, where were their camels parked? Here. Then he looked around, searched, and he found the excreta of the camels, the dung. And he took a stick and he dissected it. He did a forensic study, you do a stool test to send it to a pathologist, right, or urine test. He did a test of it, and in there he found the pits of the seeds of the dates of the tamar of Medina. And he said, oh, the people of Medina are around this neighborhood. I got to get out of here. So then he escaped from there, and he sent the messenger to Makkah, and then the army of Abu Jahl got ready. Anyway, spying is part from that time. And even before that, centuries before that, in the army of Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he took the roll call of his troops, قَالَ مَا لِيَ لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدْ. Why don't I see the hudhud bird? أَمْ كَانَ مِنَ الْغَائِبِينَ. He's not present for when the roll call is taking place. He's absent without excuse. So some people are absent. They have an acceptable excuse, and some people are absent without excuse. He did not take permission. Why is he absent? So he was in big trouble. He was not going to give him a detention. He was so mad. This is Uslub al-Hakim is there, Uslub al-Hakim. He was a king, so he's speaking like a king. لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. I will torment this bird. أو لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ. I will slaughter it. Zabah, 100% zabiyah, not 99%. لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ أَوْ لَيَأْتِيَنِّي بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. Or the bird must give me an evidence why it's not present. Then the bird comes. The bird is, again, military intelligence, would go and search the strength of the troops, the different army positions, and come back and report. So the bird came back with a report, hudhud bird. فَمَكَثَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ. After a little period of time passed, قَالَ أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ. I will conclude with this, that I came with the knowledge of something that you don't know. I have some new information. وَجِئْتُكَ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ إِنِّي وَجَدْتُ امْرَأَةً تَمْلِكُهُمْ وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا إِلَى آخِرِهِ. That I come from Saba, there's a queen Bilqis there, there's an entire kingdom, they don't know about Allah, they're worshipping other than Allah, the sun, and we need to go and spread hidayah there. Right? So in this line, Imam Fakhruddin Razi rahmatullah, he makes a point. He says that to protect yourself from any enemy, you have to have knowledge of the enemy. Number one. Number two is, when it comes to Iblis, there's alamul mushahada and alamul ghaib. There's a physical world and the metaphysical world. That which we see, that which we do not see. So shaitan is not from the alamul mushahada that we see. He's from the alamul ghaib, we cannot see. Yes? So the alamul mushahada, physical world, simple definition is made up of elements on the periodic table of elements. Right? And if something is composed of elements not on the periodic table of elements, that's from the alamul ghaib, the metaphysical world. So shaitan is not made from H2O or any of the atoms that we know and elements that we know. He's from the alam al-ghaib. So you can't see him. So then he says that how in the world are you going to protect yourself from an enemy you can't see? Because you don't know where he's going to strike, where he's going to attack. In the shaitan yajri min al-insan majra ad-dam, he's flowing in your veins like blood. How are you going to protect yourself from someone you can't even see him? So he said, the only way is you flip the tables. Flip the script, is that you ally yourself and you take the protection of that being who, if shaitan is invisible to us, then that being is invisible to shaitan. لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. Then none of the eyes of the creation can encompass him. Subhanallah. Who is that? وحده لا شريك له, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to have Allah on your side, or you have to be on the side of Allah. And you take the protection of Allah, because Allah is invisible to shaitan. Not only is Allah invisible to shaitan, the entire army of Allah is invisible to shaitan. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ illahu. Nobody has knowledge about the army of Allah except for Allah. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ illahu. So Allah is invisible to Iblis and his army, and his entire army of Allah is invisible to Iblis. So now you have become invisible. Like you have the stealth aircraft is invisible to radar. So now the army of Allah. Speaking of aircraft, a beautiful example of the army of Allah is invisible is أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِّيلٍ فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ. So this is a very physical example of, in this day and age, we have air forces and squadrons of jets. So the طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ, the question is, which base did they originate their flight from? We don't know. And after discharging their payload on the army of Abraha, where did they return back to? We don't know. So this army of birds that came and pelted the army of the elephants, we don't know where the flight originated from, where there's no tracker. If someone's tracking them, then they're gone. They appeared out of nowhere and they disappeared back. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. So this is how we have to take the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from shaitan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to continually be in His protection. Morning and evening recite the du'as of protection. Recite before we go to sleep, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. These mu'awwidhatayn, they're more important now than ever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to appreciate these beautiful gifts that we have been given in the Quran and the Sunnah to protect us from our mortal enemy. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Let us fill in the gaps, inshallah, come forward, perform Sunnah. Three important Jumu'ah announcements, inshallah. Please pass donation boxes from left to right. Please ensure the boxes reach the other side. Donate generously. Sadaqah wards off calamities, draws the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please join us for our 7th annual Winter Intensive. This is a very important event that takes place every year, our Winter Intensive. This year is about harmony within, cultivating love and unity in the modern Muslim household, December 21st to 23rd. So we have great speakers coming from all over the country, speaking about mastering marital communication, upholding marriage and morals in an evolving world, Islamic guidance on divorce, and all the different masail that take place regarding these important topics. We will be able to learn, inshallah. We also have female speakers for a full parallel program for the sisters. And for the young children, ages 5 to 7, 8 to 12, 13 to 17, young men, young women, boys and girls, separate sessions, inshallah. Daughters in Islam, crown of the family, etc., etc. Fiqh of social media, different games, etc. Q&A sessions, open gym, all kinds of things are planned. Weekly programs, inshallah, after Fajr, Team Fajr on Saturdays, 6:15 a.m. Iqama, Tuesday Tafsir, weekly Urdu Seerah program on Thursday nights. And for the sisters, there's a Tafsir program after Dhuhr Salah on Thursdays. Continue to make dua for Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and the entire Muslim Ummah. Allahumma shfi mardana wa mardal muslimin wa arham mawtana wa mawtal muslimin.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. فيا أحبتي في الله، اتقوا الله سبحانه وتعالى في السر والعلن، وذروا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن، وحافظوا على الجمع والجماعة، ووطنوا أنفسكم على السمع وطاعة، واعلموا أن خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره، ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا وإياكم بما فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له، ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، إن الله سبحانه وتعالى قد أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه، ثم ثنى بملائكته المسبحة لقدسه، ثم ثلث بكم أيها المؤمنون من برية جنه وإنسه، حيث قال: ولم يزل قائلا كريما تعظيما لشان حبيبه وتبجيلا وتكريما: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته، وارض اللهم عن خلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن سائر الصحابة والتابعين رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا وتوبة نصوحا، وتوبة قبل الموت، وراحة عند الموت، ومغفرة بعد الموت، والعفو عند الحساب، والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في غزة وفي فلسطين وفي الشام وفي سوريا وفي مشارق الأرض ومغاربها وفي لبنان وفي أنحاء العالم يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم أرنا في أعدائنا عجائب قدرتك، فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا رب العالمين. اللهم صبرهم صبرا جميلا، اللهم كن معهم وليا ونصيرا يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحور أعدائنا ونعوذ بك من شرورهم يا رب العالمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى، وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. واذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم، وادعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأعز وأجل وأتم وأهم وأعظم وأكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
So اعتدلوا, please straighten the lines. Stand shoulder to shoulder, please fill in the gaps. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا
وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. وإما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله إنه هو السميع العليم. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
One second, dear brothers. Inshallah, when I was speaking, I didn't get a chance to, I was talking about a particular topic, but then I saw in the crowd, mashallah, right in the first half, our dear brother from Dimashq, and then we have, mashallah, our Sheikh, Doctor, mashallah, also from Damascus. We have other brothers that I may not know that are here. So from our heart, from Darus Salam, we wanted to definitely convey our congratulations. Everyone should meet them. Also, that this is part of being a Muslim, that we share in the happiness with our dear brothers, and we also share in the sadness with them. This is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes, you know, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. This is an example of this that happened in the Quran. Banu Israel were subjugated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned Fir'aun and destroyed him and brought a victory to them. But at the same time, we are very cautious and fearful about the future, what the future holds and what is happening. We are witnessing that taking advantage of this opportunity, Israel has completely decimated and destroyed whatever military resources that Syria had. from all of its military bases, all of its aircraft, all of its helicopters, its naval fleet, everything has been destroyed with hundreds and hundreds of Israeli airstrikes. And completely all the positions of the Syrian military that were unmanned have been destroyed. So that is happening. Whatever the plan is, Allah Ta'ala knows best. But at the same time, we should celebrate the happiness of all of the prisoners that were released, that the Zalim Taghiyah, these cruel, oppressive rulers, Hafiz al-Assad and his son, Bashar al-Assad, Allah Ta'ala has removed them. And Allah Ta'ala has given opportunity for all of our brothers and sisters from Syria throughout the world that they can go back and meet their loved ones. And this is an opportunity for us to be thankful for that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase the blessings. لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. So let us make a dua for Syria. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, the people of Syria who have been suffering so many years and decades in the prisons, some of them are coming out and saying, oh, is this the army of Saddam Hussein who has come to release us? Or is Hafiz al-Assad still there? They have been locked up for decades in the dungeons and have been going through so much torture. Oh Allah, allow them to see that which will please them in this dunya as well as, of course, in the akhirah. Oh Allah, unite, oh Allah, those widows who have lost their husbands. Oh Allah, those husbands who have lost their wives and their children. Oh Allah, grant them sabr jameel, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And oh, those that are reuniting after so many decades and years, oh Allah, allow them their happiness to last, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, continue to protect Syria and all of the Muslim countries, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Allow us to be thankful for your blessings so that you further increase them upon us, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, do not test us in this country in a like manner, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillah.